Welcome to The Funnel. My name is John Shea, and I'm the president of Alignment Group. This is episode 172 of The Funnel, Sales and Millennials, Adapt or Die. In this episode of The Funnel, you'll learn about the millennial crisis, why you need millennials, how to appeal to millennials, and how to recruit millennials. So I think you're sensing a theme here. So let's talk a little bit about the millennial crisis. First of all, this is simple. They're the largest workforce demographic. That's the fact. Millennials are taking over the workforce. They're moving out of college and taking jobs that were once owned by baby boomers. And here's another fact. There's a serious lack of millennial salespeople. And part of the issue is that there's a perception here, a perception of the job and what it entails. And that perception has been driven by a number of things. One of them is the fact that the millennials think with the new technology and the way business is trending, that the need for salespeople isn't as strong as it used to be, and that the job could be going away. That's one perception that we've seen. The other is some of the perceptions that we've pushed out there over the years in our conversations in our movies, right? So for my group, it's Glenn Ross, that sales movie with Alec Baldwin, and the high pressure sales tactics to sell property in Florida, I think. Great movie. Al Pacino's in it. It's well acted. It's not really representative of true sales, especially in today's environment. And then that other movie that's been popular recently is The Wolf of Wall Street. So they're looking at that, and that's how they connect the dots for sales. And it's unfortunate, but that's how they view it. And keep in mind that this is a group that is very technology driven. This is the first generation to enter the workforce with full technology grasp. When I started, we didn't have email. Okay, I'm dating myself. I get that. Or cell phones. I had to write a memo and beg for email from my sales team back in the day. And I was told I didn't want sales reps sending emails out all day and not meeting with customers or prospects, that it would ruin sales. It's a true story. We had a PC that we put in the back of the office, and it was shared for email. And you could go back there and log on and send an email if you needed it. But there was nothing on the desktops. No one was allowed to have that in the beginning because of the fear that email would ruin sales. And these folks today coming in are fully technologically capable. They have a huge grasp on how to use the business tools because the business tools kind of match some of the other tools. You know, I mentioned it last podcast. I use Trello. It's an app, right? I mean, it's so simple to use. It's cloud-based, and I manage my podcast workflow with it. They come in with all that knowledge, but they're not moving into sales. I'll tell you why you need millennials. It's simple. Baby boomers are retiring, and they're retiring in droves. It's starting, and it's happening. You need salespeople to move product. You've got a large percentage of the workforce, 30, 40, 50% of the workforce in sales talent, that's walking out the door in the next year or two. And the fact that millennials don't want to get into sales means there's a gap there. Huge gap. And that's a problem. Next, B2B buyers are millennials. Stands to reason. If the baby boomers are retiring in sales, they're retiring elsewhere, and millennials are moving into jobs and positions of power. Half the B2B buyers are between the ages of 18 and 34. And even if they're not in the position to buy, they have influence because they're a big part of the company. And again, technology sets these folks apart. They understand it. So who better to sell, let's say, technology to companies than millennials selling to other millennials? It makes sense. want to take a moment here and talk about my 6-step sales hiring process infographic. So for those of you listening to episode 172, just go to the website alignment-group.com/the funnel. Click on episode 172, this episode, and in the show notes, there'll be a link for the 6-step sales hiring process infographic. There's also on the right-hand side on the sidebar, little image there. You click and you can get that perfect process to follow for hiring millennials. So I want to tell you about that for a second, because we're going to talk about how to appeal to millennials. I'm not saying change your hiring process. I'm not saying walk away from your assessment. The sales DNA is the sales DNA, whether you're a millennial or not. It's the fact that they're not coming into sales. You're not appealing to them properly. You don't know where to find them, to hire them. That's what we're talking about here. We have to find a way to appeal. So how do you do that? Well, first you change the narrative. Okay? The narrative is not very strong on sales. And millennials need to understand that actually this is really a good place for them to be, because they want to help people. They want a sense of purpose. They want to be on a team to solve problems. What better role than sales to do that? What better place to go than sales? Sales is consulting today. You're not selling feature function benefits. You're really rolling up your sleeves, digging into their problems, the prospect's problems, and helping them solve it, making their company a better place to work, your company a better place to work. They also want a sense of purpose. They want to know that they're doing something, they're doing it right, and that their company has purpose. They're doing it for something that means a little more than just a paycheck. It's a great place to be in sales. You do have a sense of purpose. You're passionate about the product or service you sell. Maybe it does solve some problem that'll help companies get better at what they do. It's a great feeling when, at the end of the day, when you close an opportunity and everybody's happy. The client's happy because they have something to help them solve their problem. The sales rep is happy. They've hit a target. The company that they work for is happy because they've sold something. They also what's interesting is they want to know that they have a job. They want to know that they're going to get paid. They want a sense of comfort with their job. And the big misleading, I think, thing about sales, especially with millennials, is that it's not a very reliable job. Well, what if I don't sell anything? I don't make any money. You know, if you're really good at your job and you're good at sales, you'll always make money. That's never an issue. You just want to find the right company and the sense of purpose, and you want to help people solve their problems. That's going to be your biggest issue. And good companies are really easy to find if you work for it and you're out there looking for it. And good millennial salespeople, they're out there. You just have to appeal to them. So there is a little bit of the narrative that it's harder to sell. I don't really believe that that's the case. If you have the right DNA and the right skill sets and you're in the right environment, you will have success. Millennials like the entrepreneurial stuff. They want to feel that entrepreneurial thing going. And sales, what's more entrepreneurial than sales? It's awesome. You get to, you really get the feeling that you own something with it. It's a unique opportunity to take a little risk, to experiment with approach, to try different things. You own your own business when you're selling. You're managing that day when you're out in the field. You're pulling in the resources you need. Millennials do like to work together as a team, and that's the way people sell today. And then finally, I would say emphasize diversity. Emphasize the diversity in selling. I've been selling for a long time, and I have to say, it's one of the fields that really never had a problem with diversifying. If you could sell and you were good at it, nobody cared. So it's a good place to be. It's a good place to be if you want to emphasize diversity, and that's how, millennials like that. And I don't we all should, right? It's a great diverse business to be in. And it really, and here's the thing, sales is not the good old boys club, the fat cat sitting back, smoking cigars and drinking scotch. It's just not true. I've been in sales for a very long time. In my world, there was no real fat cat mentality. I've had colleagues from all different places that have been very, very successful. So that myth can go right out the window, and we need to dispel that myth because I think that helps. So you want to know how to recruit millennials? Well, I'm going to give you some of the standard fare, right? Colleges, they're coming out of colleges, MBA programs. Referrals are great. If you know somebody in sales that's millennial, or you have somebody for me, college-age daughter, reach out. Do you have any friends that are looking to get into sales? Internships. I don't understand why more sales organizations don't bring salespeople in for internships. Don't bring college students in for internships. It's a great way to get their feet wet in sales. Teach them how it works. They can do a lot for you, and you can do a lot for them. Back in the day when I was managing a team and I was VP of sales, we actually had a bench of salespeople we would bring in. Young reps without a territory and train them up. And when something became available, if they earned the right, we'd move them into the territory. So internships are a really good way. Reach out to your local colleges and universities. They're all around you. And they're all willing to talk to you about an internship. This is obvious, but most people don't seem to understand it. They just kind of focus on LinkedIn. But social media, and I'm talking Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn again, of course, Instagram. These are places that these folks live. Go there. That's how you reach them. Of course, you can use recruiters and Indeed and stuff like that. I get that. It's out there. But I'm telling you, you can do this yourself. You just have to know where they're located, where they're interacting with other people, and then change the narrative. Don't put one of those cheesy ads out that they used to put out in 1985 for a sales rep. And don't lie. Don't lie. Be very specific on what they're going to get. Okay? Because in the past, people would get away with sort of sketchy brochure type ads to bring salespeople in, and then it would be a little different than what they thought it was, and people would be fine with that. Millennials will walk out on you. If you say you're going to give me this benefit and you're going to do this for me, and you don't have it, they're going to leave. I know that sounds silly, be honest. Like, you have to teach people to be honest. But it's a simple premise. Just put it out there in the right way. Be very honest in your approach. And think about how they communicate and communicate to them that in that same manner. Don't try to communicate as if you're talking to a baby boomer. It's that simple. If you have a chance, subscribe to The Funnel, alignment-group.com/The Funnel. Of course, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, and any number of other places where podcasts are published. You'll find us on Facebook. My Twitter handle is @ShayJohnR. I'm on LinkedIn, Google+. You can reach me, jshay at alignment-group.com. Or you can hit the website, I did it again, alignment-group.com. Until next time, keep filling the funnel.